Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is like music to my ears. This just makes me so happy to hear that you love it, love it, love it, because this is so awesome. So
Yeah.
I want to go into we kind of did like this little questionnaire beforehand so we could really concentrate on some of the areas where you could use some help with your show. And what you put on here was content creation and editorial calendars. So is there anything specific that really stands out as something that you'd like help on?
Yeah, well, so I've been following you for a while now, and I would love to expand into YouTube. So I
Okay.
have a YouTube channel, and I've actually re-listened recently to your episodes about content creation and really about repurposing, which
Mhm.
I think is just so good. Because we all want, right? I feel like I don't want to be on the content creation hamster wheel, right? Because I also have a membership and I create content for them every month. So I loved most recently, so this is getting really specific. I don't have a challenge with coming up with ideas, right? I have
Mhm.
so many ideas. I
Yes.
homeschooled for 25 years. I do one-on-ones. I mean, I just have so many ideas. My challenge is kind of matching the ideas to my launch calendar, but then also fleshing out those ideas. And so
Mm.
specifically, I would love to hear more about because I know you don't just record your podcast and put this exact same thing on your
Right.
podcast and on YouTube. So how do you come up with those YouTube ideas, right? Without it feeling like so much extra work.
Yes. Okay. So this is really, really good. And I haven't covered this too much in a lot of detail. And maybe this could be kind of like the springboard. So if anybody else has more questions like this, I welcome them because I really do love talking about this strategy because it's taken me a while to figure this out. Like here we are. I mean, I'm several hundred podcast episodes and YouTube videos into this journey. So if you're just getting started, if you're just listening, give yourself some grace. It takes a second if you don't have it figured out. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're asking this because I'm sure there's some people that are like, oh, I want to wake up tomorrow and it's not a snap your fingers and you figure it all out because even what I'll recommend to you may not work. So I want
Mhm.
you to just accept that you have to figure out what works best for you. But what I have found with correlating my podcast content with my YouTube content is I like to use the podcast sort of like the dry run because it's the longer form. So my podcast episodes will typically be anywhere from 25 minutes to 45 minutes if it's a solo
Yeah.
episode for myself. And
Yeah.
so
Mine are similar. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So what I'll do is whenever I plan out that content, and it's typically in Asana, you could use a Google Doc or, bullet points, a script, whatever you use. And then you look at that and say, well, how will this perform on YouTube? And sometimes it's taking that exact same concept, but adding the visuals to it, whether it's just you talking about it and you are the visual, you're the talking head, or having like a small presentation or using screenshots or using
Mhm.
like different visuals to help kind of bring the idea to life. But here is the big, big difference. When I create stuff on my podcast, it is for a timely audience that I'm hoping it will reach them, relatively soon after it goes live. Even if someone hears it a year or 6 months later, I'm really creating it for the audience that's listening right now. But with
Hmm.
YouTube, the way that I think about it is I set all of that content up to be searchable. So someone could find it especially so for homeschooling, this is very good because homeschooling or school in general is cyclical, right? You have the beginning of the
Yeah.
year and you have the end of the year. You have summer, you have breaks, and maybe a homeschooling calendar could look different on how you would take time off or maybe have an extended time period where you're not doing homeschool stuff and you're like, what do I do with the kids? So you would know that, for having a homeschool background schedule. And so you can kind of placate that information into how you want to create the content based on where your audience is. And I think that would specifically really fit well with a podcast. But for YouTube, you're like, it doesn't matter if I put this video out in summertime, because when August or September comes around, this information's still going to be relevant then. So that's kind of the different way that I look at it and ask myself, do I need to create this right now? Or if I do push this off, is it going to be out there by the time someone is searching for it? Does that make sense?
So good. Yeah, totally makes sense. And that is such a great reminder. That's what happens, is there are just so many factors to consider, right? But it's such a great reminder about the searchability of YouTube. And my podcast episodes, I do script them out. I still script them even after a year. I thought I would go to bullet points. I've gotten so I don't actually always follow the script, and I highlight certain things. So it's kind of like scripting and bullet pointing, know? But I think my question is how I do feel like I want to just take a slice of it. You know what I mean? Like a slice of the whole episode, because mine too are about 25 to 45 minutes long, and so take a slice of that and make it into a YouTube video. Because I think I've heard you say this, I tried to record at the same time for a podcast episode in YouTube, and it's ridiculous. It just looks so hard. It is not